Life can change in an instant. For many wheelchair users, the struggle to push forward is a daily challenge.
After years of development and countless prototypes, we created Rib Grips, the revolutionary wheelchair hand rim covers with built-in ribs for ultimate grip and comfort.
No more slick surfaces, no more heat burns, just pure, reliable grip. Rib Grips, empowering you to push forward with ease. Rib Grips, get a grip on your freedom. Discover the difference. Visit ribgrips.com and use promo code GRIP today. You just found the perfect product that helps with staying cool during hot summer runs. No more gross warm water. Stay cool with this product from Gear Handle. This hydration tube cover helps keep your water cool and easily accessible. Stay hydrated during those long summer runs or even delay from freezing in the winter. Plus, they're compatible with various brands of water bladders and come in various colors. Visit gearhandle.com and use promo code H2O today.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Silent Witness. We are here today to talk about not a cold case. This is, I don't know, folklore? I don't know. How would you classify this one?
Just true crime.
True crime. Brain fart. True crime. And we are on part four today of the Kaufman County case. All right. So you did that thing last time and you left us
Left you hanging.
Edge of a cliff.
I did.
So are we going to summarize where we were?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we left off with the first three. So everybody go listen to Silent Witness, part 1, 2, and 3. But last week we left off with the investigation of Mike and Cynthia McClellan's Easter Sunday murder.
So sad.
And the investigation began to heat up. We'd already talked about Mark Hassey's murder, and then Mike and his wife Cynthia McClellan, which were the DAs of Kaufman County, were murdered on Easter Sunday. And investigators focused on Eric, but still had little evidence to arrest him. So,
and then do we want to go back? So he was previously working with the two gentlemen who've been murdered, right? And he stole, and they had to.
Well, he was the JP in the county.
Okay.
Mike was the DA.
Right.
Mark was the assistant DA. So he was a justice of the peace in the county. He was convicted of theft, of felony theft, where Mike and Mark tried him and convicted him.
Right.
He lost his law license and was a convicted felon.
And that's why he was one of the suspects, one of the possible people. Okay.
Yes, one of them. An Aryan Brotherhood. They were DAs. They prosecuted
so
criminals.
Any other criminal that they. So it's kind of that's a huge pool of suspects.
It could be a serial killer. It could be somebody who hated the system, was mad at the system, wanted revenge. It could be
which those emails that came in were creepy. The tips.
Yeah.
Creepy.
The Crime Stoppers one. So
okay.
We know that there was 2 people, at least in Mark's murder. And if you remember, someone did take responsibility via Crime Stoppers. Yeah. And we left off with the Texas Ranger and the chief deputy of the sheriff's office in Kaufman County looking around Eric's house. And, they spent about 2 hours there. Did they have enough to get a search warrant, or did they have to go back to the drawing board and start over? Yeah. So that's where we left off.
Okay.
Eric probably, if we were to think back on that time and play a little mind reading game, what do you think? Eric regretted letting those officers in the house, or do you think his ego was like,
oh no, I think he's so happy with himself.
I kind of think he regretted it.
Really?
After the fact. I think he's like, why?
Why?
Yeah. I think he realized, if I were to guess and play psychologist, yeah, he has an ego. He's a narcissist, but he also knows better than to, let. If you're a lawyer and officers are knocking on your door, even if you're not a lawyer, you're going to let them just come look around their house? No. You better go get a warrant for that.
Yeah, but he's such a narcissist that he doesn't think that he's already cleaned up his mess. There's nothing for them to find. He's smarter than them, remember?
Yeah, but let me give you a little thing that he did that may make you change your mind. So right after they left, not long after the ranger and the sheriff's office investigator left, Eric loaded up some boxes in his car and took him to his in-laws' home, which was about a block away from his own home in Kaufman. And we know this because he was under surveillance. So that,
that just proves to me that just proves to me he's as dumb as I think he is. He is a narcissist and thinks he's smarter than everybody.
Right. But I think at the moment he regretted it, and that's why he was taking some things out.
Or he realized they're going to come back. I need to get rid of this.
Maybe.
See? Options.
Maybe. So let's go back to the command post and discuss what they saw. So in order for a judge to sign a search warrant, there has to be probable cause and evidence. There has to be, the judge isn't, just because you have a hunch, the judge isn't going to sign that warrant.
Right. Lame, but I get it.
It's true. But as officers were explaining, what they saw, what they talked about, they were listening to the recording because, again, that was, it wasn't video, it was audio recorded. The special prosecutor, Shook and Worski. I always wonder if I say
the name.
I know, but I don't know if it's right, and I feel bad if it's
She's
not.
really sorry. Okay.
Don't prosecute me
for bad
language.
For phonics.
But they saw, here's what they saw. They saw the gun box.
Right. 357 shape-ish.
It's a box that, held the gun, maybe a gun. They saw parts of a gun, the scope.
And a rifle stock?
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
His denial so he lied. So his denial of searching for the victim's home information
in that special database,
in that NexusLexis database.
NexusLexis. Okay.
The prosecutors decided it's worth a try. Let's just try it and see if a judge will sign it.
Okay.
So, they have to type up the warrant, and that's a process. That's not something you just bye. No, it takes a little bit. And so along with this search warrant, they also worked on one for the in-laws house because they knew he had taken some boxes over there. So around noon the next day, they took the warrant. The warrants were presented to the judge. Judge read them over and signed them both.
Good. Okay.
Yes. So shortly after,
do you think there was a little bit of they did a good job writing it up?
Yeah.
And I want to find out who did this to my buddies or my colleagues.
Again, this judge isn't going to hear the trial.
Right.
The trial isn't going to be heard if he were arrested, if there was enough, let's say, because there isn't right now.
Right.
You have to go by the book or it will get thrown out.
I know.
And likely another judge in another county doesn't know them, doesn't know.
It's national news.
It is, but you don't know. And then you got to think too, you got to prepare for appeals courts.
Right.
Is it going to get overturned in appeals?
That's what I'm saying. If they wrote it up well enough, that gives the judge the ability, whether he agreed or not, to be like, well,
I think there was enough evidence, at least for the search warrant.
You're so sweet. I think you just have a lot of love for law enforcement and don't see how often they bend the rules.
Of course. But I've also seen DAs bend the rules and take a case that they shouldn't have to trial because they didn't do the right thing and it got overturned by the appeals court. And that's a humiliation for a DA. It should be. If this particular DA that in this case I'm talking about wasn't humiliated, shame on her. But
okay.
Because even me, and I'm not a lawyer, and I told her, along with other lawyers, said, do not take this case any further. Stop it now. And I'm not even a lawyer. So anyway. So I have seen the other side of that. So I know that they want to do right in this case, because if you risk a not guilty because of a messed up search warrant.
Right. You're risking double jeopardy. I think, we all get it. You're done.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying. I think that they were able to say yes because they wrote it up well, but maybe in another case they might not have approved
I think that they wrote it up well, and I think that the judge looked at it extra hard because he didn't want to mess up the case.
We're on opposite sides of this one. But go ahead. Go ahead. What'd they find?
So around noon the next day, again, the warrants were signed.
Okay.
They descended on both residents shortly thereafter at the same time.
Descended.
Okay. Descended. That's a good word. Eric was at his in-laws' house at the time. Kim was home at her house alone. Okay. So, of course, when the search warrants are being executed, they're not... Eric wasn't free. He wasn't allowed to leave, but he wasn't detained either. Mm-hmm. And again, Kim was up and feeding her dogs. They had dogs, and she was at her home. The officers with the sheriff's office, forensic teams, agents with the FBI, Texas Rangers, and others began the search. Eric sat outside.
Okay.
I assume his in-laws did too, but I don't know. And at his home where Kim was, the house was very disorganized, messy, just like we said. Mm-hmm. The special prosecutors were on scene. I think they were at the in-laws house where Eric was. And one of the special prosecutors received a phone call that Eric had what Eric had been up to in the past 24 hours or so.
Oh, okay.
Eric was doing a little bit more searching on LexisNexis.
LexisNexis.
He was searching for both Toby and Bill and where they lived.
Ooh. Now, what are their last names, Christina?
Bye.
She's going to kick me.
Okay. Eric did a lot of internet searches for himself and for many others. Huh.
What do you mean for many others? Ooh, is that how he's earning his money?
No.
Damn it.
No, but he's searching for information on other people.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like bad guys were hiring him to look up information.
No.
Oh, well, that was an opportunity missed, Eric. Probably could have made a bunch.
You're not finding criminal histories on LexisNexis. You're just looking at.
No, you're finding freaking addresses. Of
well, you can find addresses on Google.
No, judges will hide. You can hide LEOs and judges. I always recommend they hide that.
Yeah, but again, this is you would think that wouldn't be public, but whatever.
Right?
Whatever. This was also
LexisNexis.
Okay. So.
Yes.
They got a phone call. Hey,
yeah.
Eric's looking at y'all. Y'all better figure something out. So a few things of interest were found in Kim and Eric's home.
Okay. A revolver. I'm just kidding.
No.
He's not stupid.
No, he's not. He's
not that dumb.
He's not that dumb. A list on the counter titled Kim's Kick-Ass List.
Go Kim.
This had people listed who Eric disliked or had a grudge against.
Oh, it's not like Kim's kick ass because it's go kick their ass list.
Yeah, of course it wasn't. And again, I could have a list of people I don't like.
Shoot,
I can't get arrested for it, so that's not enough.
Well, I keep it in my head.
Me too.
I'm gonna write it down. Okay.
But it is something of interest.
Huh.
But there was one thing found that was of great interest. At the home of Eric.
What? Are you going to tell us, or is this one of those? I'll tell you next week. Okay.
A piece of paper was discovered that had a web address on it.
Okay.
tipsubmit.com.
Ooh.
Along with a series of letters and numbers.
Did it start with a W?
They realized what it was. The numbers matched the Crime Stoppers tip claiming responsibility for the murders and threatening others.
So he's Mr. Do I have your attention now?
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
Of course. That is still not enough evidence to arrest for murder.
Oh, my gosh.
It's not. I mean, he didn't, No,
I know.
So as the search continued, they found also something of great interest. A title to a white Crown Vic. They also found an email that was between Eric and a buyer named Richard Green, air quotes.
Okay.
This is significant because
white Crown
home
Vic.
Surveillance of the night the McClellans were murdered
showed
a white Crown, what appeared to be a white Crown Vic entering and leaving the neighborhood.
Okay.
Around the time. The video was grainy, but it was believed to be a Crown Vic.
Okay. I mean, those are pretty obvious.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of cars that look like that.
But again, it was still a distance. And I remember seeing the video. And it's distance. And it could be another kind of car.
Oh, so it could have been like a Taurus or something. Like
yeah, but it
tell.
was, it you can recognize shapes of cars, and that it was that. So they assumed that whoever entered the McClellan's home, either through an unlocked door or them, likely what happened because of the white Crown Vic is they thought it was police, so they opened
it. Because back then that's
that's police
what they were driving.
Crown Vics,
and so it's innocuous.
But
almost makes you feel safe.
It's still not enough.
Almost.
It's still not enough to arrest Eric for murder.
Okay.
But it was enough to arrest him for terroristic threat for what he said
dummy.
on the Crime Stoppers tip line.
Okay.
Eric was taken. He was arrested for the terroristic threat. He was taken to an interview room, just like when he was arrested for the theft.
Mm-hmm.
He was taken to an interview room, but this time, and he spoke. He spoke to investigators for the theft.
Right.
But he did not speak when he was taken. He said, no, I'm not talking.
Somebody's wising up.
A little bit. But you're looking also at more serious charges, too.
Right.
This
isn't computer theft. This is murder.
Yeah.
Terroristic
threat. So investigators,
but murder,
again, didn't have the evidence to arrest him for murder.
Right.
They didn't have the murder weapon. They didn't have the Crown Vic.
But that's what they're trying to get. So they're trying to get more information and evidence so that they can put that in.
Yeah,
play,
but
right?
even if this is all they had, that's not enough.
No, I know.
Yeah. So they didn't have the weapon. They didn't have the Crown Vic. They didn't have bullets linking him.
Yeah.
They didn't have, so.
No, they're still on a fishing expedition.
Yeah. But this was still good. You still at least could get him somewhere where that night he couldn't carry out his next hit. If he's the killer. If he's the killer.
Because he said my superiors in that email, which could have been a full-on lie, but still.
Right.
You never know.
But you don't know. But at least he
is subdued for now.
For now.
A way out.
In a terroristic threat, eventually he will get a bond and probably bond out. But they needed more evidence.
Mm-hmm.
They needed the vehicle, the weapon, something to tie him to the crimes.
Mm-hmm.
They had no idea where to look next, but still they continued to work the case. Once they wrapped up the search warrants.
Mm-hmm.
And they found little stuff here and there at both residences, but it wasn't. So as they were doing the search, the news media got wind of it.
Sure.
You see, the news is reporting, hey, they're searching Eric Williams' house. You see the copters, from the scene and investigators. You've seen those news stories.
Yeah.
So, the news is reporting that, they're not connecting it, I don't think, yet to the McClellans. They pretty much are because it's already been told that Eric may be a suspect. So, but the next day after the search, which again was reported by the news media, a friend of Eric's named Roger Williams.
Okay.
No relation because Eric
Williams. Right. Yeah. Okay.
There's no relation. But they were friends from way back in the day.
Okay.
Called investigators with an incredible story.
What you got, Mr. Williams?
So he had rented a storage unit in his own name for Eric.
Huh.
As investigators and the special they were home by this time, taking a day off.
Oh,
and
the investigators?
Sudden, yeah. Like especially Toby and Bill, they were chilling.
Okay.
But not for long because then they gathered. They were like, okay, we got a storage unit. So they gathered in Forney where Roger was.
Yeah.
And they received the location of the unit and another interesting piece of information, Roger had told the sheriff's investigator. Okay, let me start over.
Okay.
So,
I just want to know if the Crown Vic is in the storage unit, but go ahead. Okay, keep going.
Well,
I know you're going to get there. I know, but that's where my brain went.
But this is interesting. So Roger had told the sheriff's office investigators about the unit in early March.
What are we in right now?
The McClellans were killed in March 30th. They told them about the
storage unit
in early March.
And nobody went to go see what's up.
Which could have prevented the McClellans from getting murdered.
Maybe. You're going to tell me why in about 2 seconds.
I will in a minute. But think about if there is something in this unit and they had found it earlier, the McClellans could have been spared.
If they had arrested Eric earlier, based on what they
found. If the sheriff's office had followed through, and we're about to talk about the unit.
Sad face. Okay, yeah, tell me. Okay, now I feel like it's not the Crown Vic.
Now, again, let's go back to search warrants.
Search warrants.
They can't get in that storage unit. They can't just open it up.
Right.
You got to get a search warrant.
But it belongs to the other dude. It's in his name. Why can't he give him permission?
You still cannot. If you do not get it, because Eric's not going to give permission, and he could give permission, but
it's the other dude's storage unit. Why can't he give permission? It's his
because
name.
It's technically not his. It's technically Eric's. He just rented it. And to be able to do this right for court, for a court hearing, you get a search warrant.
Even if the owner of the unit says, yes, you may look?
Yes.
Well, that's dumb.
It's not.
I disagree.
That's the way the law is.
That's dumb.
Well, George Washington would not like you saying that.
George,
that is a constitutional
roll over in
right.
that grave.
And
no, I get that, but he's not the owner.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he's the owner or not. They still want to do this by the book. By doing it by the book means get a search warrant because you don't know what Judge so and so in whatever county is going to rule on. You don't know if he's going to say, well, you didn't get a search warrant, I'm throwing it out. And anything in there, if there's evidence in there, gets thrown out. And they don't want to risk, if he's a killer and if he goes to trial, they're not going to risk this trial. They're going to do everything by the book, especially in this case.
Okay.
And so they typed up a search warrant. Investigators were gathering at the unit, not knowing what they're going to find, they got the warrant. They got the warrant signed.
Okay. Good job. I guess.
Picture. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to give a description. So investigators gathered after the warrant was signed. They popped the lock on it. I don't think Roger had the key because it's Eric's. So you're not going to risk whoever's name it was. It was Eric's things in there.
Okay.
So that's what I'm trying to say with the search warrant.
Okay.
But there wasn't anybody around to unlock it, so they had to pop it. I think. I could be wrong on that. But anyway, as it's opening, picture this. The door's opening. It's one of those like a garage
roll-up door?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
As it's opening, the cheers began. The screaming, the high fives began. Because what did they see?
A
White Crown Vic.
Hey!
I mean, they were ecstatic.
Okay. Awesome. But that still is coincidental. Was there blood evidence? Was
because
there
they have
anything?
the title.
What title?
Remember when they were searching Eric's house and they found the title of a White Crown Vic? And to a seller? Yes.
Did she tell us that?
Yes.
I remember you saying that he
had a title
from Richard Green, somebody.
Well,
that he was trying to sell it
to a buyer.
Yeah,
but he had the title to the vehicle.
Okay, so he owned the Crown Vic.
Yeah.
Do you know how many Crown Vics there are in this world?
Exactly, but wait.
I'm like, this is...
You got the Crown Vic. It's the Crown Vic in the neighborhood. I'm just saying. But they still had to do forensic testing.
How can you be like, it's got to be... search warrant. But finding the Crown Vic is like...
No, they're still going to take evidence from the Crown Vic.
That's what I'm saying. Why were they so excited about finding the car when they didn't know if it had evidence or not?
Because they wanted to find the Crown Vic that was spotted in the neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
He had a title to it, which did link him to that Crown Vic. Okay. So yes, they were still going to do forensics within the car to prove that was the one.
Yeah.
But they were excited to find that because now
they had something else to test and look at and connect. Okay.
But that's not all that was found in the unit.
Oh, come on, Revolver.
Other items of interest were found.
Come on, Revolver.
Police badges.
Police badges?
Lots of police badges.
Why? What a weirdo.
No. Remember when I said that cops drive a white Crown Vic? No, I'm not. A White Crown Vic, and that likely the McClellans opened the door to a police officer.
Oh, no, you said somebody they knew. It was most likely somebody they knew or trusted to open the door to.
And you would trust a police officer.
Some of us would.
You would still open the door, right? I would think you would open the door to a police officer.
Okay.
I mean, I probably would ignore it and hide. Because why are you at my house other than
I don't want to hear bad news.
Yeah. Anyway, so they found a bunch of badges.
Okay.
They found 41 guns.
41. Was one of them a revolver, Christina? You're killing me.
I'm getting there.
41.
They found
so he didn't sell shiz. He put it all in a storage unit. Okay.
They found a crossbow and they found a bunch of knives.
Crossbow?
I'll explain the crossbow in a minute.
Insane.
That's significant.
Okay.
There was also some pickled jars with a yellow liquid substance inside. Immediately.
Please. Pee.
No.
Oh, okay.
Immediately. They don't know what it is.
Yeah, ew.
Everybody left. Bomb squad in.
Yeah.
So they had to suspend the search. Bomb squad was called. So the search had to stop. Once it was cleared, investigators finished the search.
Okay, so here, just so people don't think I'm super crazy, why I went to pee in the bottle is because, if you're out surveilling people.
I agree.
And you have nowhere else to go, or snipers just go where they can.
But boys can go out in the woods.
Yeah, but they'll use a jar. And what if you have to keep your eye on something? Anyway, bomb squad. Anyway, not a bomb.
They were cleared. They went back in. They finished the search.
Wait, we're not going to know what the yellow stuff was?
Yeah, I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
So, remember when I said that there were two people? Investigators began to wonder if Kim was the second person.
Yeah.
And they saw evidence that she had been at the unit, the storage
unit. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And the evidence is they noticed in the house a lot of empty Coca-Cola bottles.
Okay.
Which she drank a lot of Coca-Cola. In the storage unit, there were empty Coca-Cola bottles.
Okay.
So in, their mind, the investigator's mind, that's not a very good way to link Kim, but it still put it in their head.
Stuck out to them.
Yeah, it still stood out to them that maybe we ought to talk to Miss Kimmy.
Okay. And Eric doesn't drink Coke? Is that like a known thing?
Don't remember, but I think so. I just know they linked
something about Coke was specific to her.
Yeah.
Okay.
She drank a lot of Coca-Cola.
I mean, she probably needed the sugar with all the
opiates.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they went and got Kim. Said, "Hey, come with us to the sheriff's office. We want to talk." Kim did not ask for an attorney.
Okay.
And so, they began to question her. The investigators asked her if she knew about the McClellan murder. She denied it. She denied Eric had anything to do with it. He's a good man, blah, blah. As the hours wore on, and everybody tried to question her, she's still denying. No, we had nothing to do with it. Eric's good. He would never do this. Whatever. They wanted one of the investigators said, "I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach here. Let me have at her."
Okay.
And again, this has been hours.
Now, how's she of the mind to be interrogated if she's a drug addict? I wouldn't.
Right. And at this point, she's probably
exhausted, and
tired, fiending. I don't.
All the things. Uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm not real sure.
Okay.
But they decided, hey, I'm going to take a different approach. Let me have at her. Okay. And this happens a lot. You may not, if I'm questioning you as an investigator, I may not can get through to you. There may be somebody else. Maybe you would trust a female. Maybe you would trust this person. Anyway.
Okay.
So, when all others failed, they decided that they basically went in and said, "You know what happened. So you better start talking now."
Ooh, get ahead of it.
No, they were getting rough with her.
That's what, yeah.
Like, you better start talking because I'm tired of this BS.
Okay.
They also mentioned Cynthia telling her, Eric killed an innocent woman who makes quilts.
Aw.
Like, what?
Why? Yeah, why her? Mm-hmm.
Kim began to cry at this point, and she dropped her head and said that she did what Eric told her to do. Kim then told everything.
Boom.
How she drove Eric when he killed Mark and the McClellans.
Wow. Okay.
They also kind of went after her a little bit and said, you went in there, didn't you? And she denied that.
Okay.
She waited in the car.
Okay.
On both. And we know that with Mark's case because there were witnesses
that saw him just go get back in the car.
Yeah,
sure.
and drive off. So Kim insisted that she waited in the car during both of the killings.
Wait, what? Okay, go ahead.
Now, because Texas law states that even if you wait in the car, and there's a murder, there's a commission of a murder, you're going to be charged just as equally. So even if you don't know what's happening. So if me and you are going to the store and I go in and rob and kill somebody, but you don't even know what's going on, and I come
I'm just
back
like, where's my soda?
Yeah, you're going to be charged with capital murder too.
That's some bullshit, but okay.
No.
Well, if you truly don't know, I think the problem is nobody really doesn't know.
Right.
So, but wait, okay, so here's my question though. Speaking of like taking this to trial and whatnot, they're married. So
she can testify if she chooses to.
If she chooses to.
Yeah.
But aren't there special things in place to keep them from even asking her since they're married? Like, should she have
they
said,
can ask. They can ask, and
I'm not going to talk about my husband.
Yeah, but
so she just should have done that.
Yeah, that doesn't mean she's going to testify. I'm not saying she's going to.
Okay.
Because she's now charged with capital murder.
Right.
So they booked her into the jail in capital murder, and Eric is now charged, and both bonds were set at $10 million. They ain't getting out.
Nah.
And it should be noted that during this time they tried to speak with Eric again. Eric did not talk. Even after.
Oh, okay.
Even after. So Eric said no. Bye.
So he stopped. He locked up and stopped talking.
That's
okay.
Smart. Don't talk. Now let's get ready for trial.
The first time. Okay.
They decided to seek the death penalty in this case. But the investigation continued. They wanted the gun. No murder weapon has been found. The only weapon they found in the storage unit was Mark's.
Oh, okay.
But
that's it.
Yeah, but Kim did state that it had been thrown in wait, I'm lying.
Okay.
Back up.
You're not.
I am.
You
lied. They did not in the unit. They did not find Mark's murder weapon.
Oh, okay.
They found no murder weapon in the unit. None.
Just 41.
They just found random guns, but they found no murder weapon.
Okay.
Okay.
And no fancy bullets.
I mean, they found ammunition, but none tied to the crimes.
That's what I mean. They didn't find that hydroshock, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Okay.
So, Kim did state that both weapons were thrown into Lake Tawakoni. Again, Lake Tawakoni, I'm not sure if you're familiar. It is a very big lake in... it spans many counties.
Oh, wow.
There's cars at the bottom. There's bodies at the bottom of that lake. It's pretty notorious.
Okay.
Going across from one county, from Hunt County to Rains County, there's what's called the 2 Mile Bridge.
Okay.
And that's a big 2 Mile Bridge.
It's even 2 miles long.
I used to drive on it all the time.
Okay. But, so anything, it could have ended up anywhere.
It spans that spans in multi counties. The lake is huge. It's a big fishing lake. It's just a big old lake. Okay.
Okay.
Just to give context.
Yeah.
So they decided in this case. Back up just a second. So in many murder cases where there's multiple victims, what the state will do is try one.
Oh, yeah, we've talked about that. Okay.
Yeah, because if you try all 3 and he's found not guilty, he's gone home.
Yeah.
But if you try one and he's found not guilty, you still have 2 more in this case to try him for. So that's
strategy.
Yes. And that's what they decided to do.
Okay.
So they decided, okay, who are we going to try first? Cynthia.
Yeah.
Because she would be the one to go first. She was the most innocent.
She's the most empathetic.
The most sympathetic, yes. Basically, she was in the wrong place, the wrong time, and had nothing to do with Eric's revenge.
Nothing.
So, that's where they decided to go. They figured the jury would be more sympathetic.
Sure. That's the one that'll get everybody turned against him in a heartbeat.
Yeah. So Kim was pointing investigators to where Eric practiced shooting.
Okay.
Before the killings, he practiced.
Okay.
She also showed him, where he threw the gun into the lake. And they had dive teams continuously going in, looking, for the murder weapon.
That's hard.
Yeah. And that lake is murky.
Yeah, it's like a needle in a haystack. That's a real okay.
Even if you point we threw it in at this exact spot, that doesn't mean that's where it's landed.
Well, no, and there's currents and water movement and soil settles and yeah.
So they did find, because he did practice under a bridge.
Okay.
Like, those.
Like an underpass?
An underpass, yeah. Under a bridge
under an overpass?
area. And he was, and I think, I could be wrong. I think it was the Lake Tawakoni area under a bridge. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But anyway, and that's where he would target practice. So she took him there, and they did find some casings that did match the bullets for one of the guns. I don't remember which one, and I don't think I wrote it down.
Okay.
Anyway. So dive teams were looking for both murder weapons. They did, on one of the last tries, find, so what Eric did with one of the guns, I can't remember what he did with the one for the McClellans, but with Mark's, put it in a duffel bag with some other items, gloves, whatever. And they found that. They did find that murder weapon, Mark's.
Okay.
They found the duffel.
So that's where okay.
Like at the last minute, they found that. They, as far as I remember, they never found the McClellan's weapon.
Okay.
But the casings did point to.
That did connect him. Okay.
So the trial. Let's get to the trial. So the trial was moved from Kaufman County to Rockwall County.
Okay.
So Rockwall County is a suburb of Dallas, very ritzy, very nice. I like Rockwall.
Okay.
I do. But they border. But they moved it to Rockwall due to the publicity, and they're not going to get a fair trial on Kaufman.
No, fair, true, okay.
And it was a death penalty trial. So during any death penalty trial, and I have been involved with one, so I know this, when you pick jurors, potential jurors were called, thousands were called. They were, whittled down, and then, your pool has to be questioned individually. So that usually takes about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's not like a normal jury where it's a group you're being questioned. It's individual. You go into a room and lawyers are talking to you. So that took, but once the jury was seated, the trial would begin. And after about a week, and this was in December, I want to say December 14, but it could have been 15. But after about a week, he was found guilty of capital murder in Cynthia's case. I'm not going to go into all the forensics and all the, that's just boring. But
okay, but they got him guilty.
Yeah. Now, Kim did not testify in the guilt innocence phase of this trial. She did not testify. They had enough.
Okay.
And they were pretty confident.
Okay. Well, yeah, she's not really like a super reliable witness.
No.
Right?
But sentencing hearing, you're going to have a sentencing hearing, and it's death penalty, so it's going to go to the jury as well. So the jury has to determine death or life. And so that began. Kim did testify during the sentencing. She had been sitting in jail all this time, so now she's clean. She had an extensive opiate use. I think they found in one of the searches, her opiates in the refrigerator were enough to kill a human.
Oh, wow.
She was taking so much that had you or I taken it, we would have died.
Us. But her body was used to it.
Right.
Okay.
Because you steadily increase in that.
Right.
But she did testify in the sentencing, but she was clear. And she did begin to detail the crimes and the plans for more killings.
Oh.
So, Judge Ashworth is one of the 4 judges in Kaufman, was next. And do you want to know how he was going to be killed?
No, but go ahead.
Well, you do. Say yes.
Is this the crossbow?
He was going to be killed by the crossbow that was recovered from the unit and napalm, which was the yellow liquid in the...
Oh, wow.
That's an explosive, yes.
Wow, he was really mad at that guy.
Yeah, and he used to
work. Is that the guy who sentenced him?
I don't remember.
That's a lot of anger.
Yeah.
Crossbow and napalm. Wow.
The explosive liquid.
How did he even get a hold of it? That's what the yellow, it wasn't pee.
It was napalm. Yeah, it was an explosive liquid, yeah.
And they were, so then bomb squad must have taken it and then let them go back in. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm sure they had to do other testing, but they had to get it out of there, and they had to do it carefully.
Gosh, bless.
Because you mess with that stuff.
That's evil.
That's evil.
That is, I mean, it would have been
evil
quick,
to kill.
but that's evil.
Yeah.
What?
It's evil to kill Cynthia.
I mean, I think it's evil to kill anybody.
Anybody, of course.
But Cynthia had just jack to do with it.
Exactly. I mean,
napalm and a crossbow, though? That's insane.
But let me tell you about Kim's testimony. And
Okay.
I remember watching it.
Oh, really?
And and I've seen it several times because there's a few TV, 48 hours stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So if you ever want to, it's called Target Justice. It's really good. I show it to my class.
Okay.
Because I'm so interested in this case, I could watch it 1,000 times. I don't know why.
I don't know.
It's just one
because you kind of lived it.
Yeah, I mean,
you were personally connected to this one. For sure.
No, not really, but
you were though. More so,
I was in the system.
Yeah.
In that area.
Yeah,
but Kim's testimony was very emotionless, very like I'm showing more emotion telling you the story than she showed. She was very monotone, no emotion, fact. Yeah,
trauma.
And she even said his anger was my anger.
Well, I mean, for her, like, I'm not making excuses for her, but she was being controlled by drugs.
She was being controlled by him.
And controlled by him. I'm sure he's the one who was making sure she could metabolize crazy amounts of the drugs. She wasn't going out and getting it. You know what I mean? Like,
no,
they're probably
she had
part
a
of the
medical
reason
pain, and I think she got addicted to it. But again, his anger was her anger, and the only time she did show emotion was talking about Cynthia's death. She specifically said she didn't understand why she had to die.
She didn't have to. None of them had to.
After the killings of Mike and Cynthia, Eric and Kim celebrated with steaks on the grill.
Gross.
But
I feel like there's like a DV aspect to that marriage, I think.
Yeah. But, and well,
again, not excusing her. I hope she's
there's no
also
excuse.
in jail.
She went along with it. And yeah, she was, I think the reason she confessed, because the cop came in at her, like Eric would come in at her.
Oh.
Yelling at her.
So put her in that position of,
yeah.
I'm just going to answer. Yeah.
So, but during the testimony, again, she was very emotionalist to the point. She told everything. And that was hard to hear for the victims' families, their kids, the McClellan's kids.
Yeah.
And they were there through the whole trial.
Yeah.
So on December 17th, I think the sentencing took longer than the actual trial. But anyway, Eric was sentenced to death by lethal injection.
Yep. That tracks.
During the victim impact statement, JR, Mike's son, stated, "Tonight we will celebrate with steaks on the grill."
Oh, good for you.
Yep.
Big fat steaks. Heck yeah. Wow.
I should point out that something great did come of this after the fact. See, Cynthia was always the matchmaker, and she wanted her friend's son, the police officer who discovered the bodies, to hook up with her daughter, Christina. So they did eventually get married.
That's kind of cute.
It is, yeah. So
that's
and I can't
bright
think of his
spot
name.
in a really nasty
Nathan is his
story.
name. Yeah, Nathan. And he, the Dallas police officer that found them, married Cynthia's daughter.
Oh,
and they have a son now. So it's cute.
That's bittersweet.
Yeah, it is. But Mom never got to see it.
Well, maybe she did.
Anyway, so Cynthia's dream did come true because that was her dream. Christina, you need to marry Nathan. Y'all would be perfect. So, okay, so let's go back to Kim. So she did testify, and she took a plea bargain and was sentenced to 40 years in prison. So she's currently in prison. Kim eventually did divorce Eric.
Okay.
Today, Eric is in the Polanski unit.
Okay.
Awaiting his sentence to be carried out.
Okay.
In Texas, the wait for actual death to go through all the appeals process is on average 9 years. So
we're getting close.
Yeah. So far, all of his appeals have been affirmed by the higher courts. Eric today still claims his innocence.
How can he claim his innocence? You're dumb. And so all of that other stuff, my superiors, my yada yada, that was all smokescreen. It was just him and his wife the whole time. Wow.
Yep. Interesting case, huh?
That was a good one. Yeah, that is very interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot to. There was a lot in there, especially through the trial. There was a lot of forensics that tied him, and they didn't even need Kim's testimony. So that's they tied the bullets to the crime scene, and anyway, DNA I think was involved. They tied DNA somehow. I don't know if it was the vehicle.
So he can go ahead and deny it all he wants, but there's plenty of evidence that shows.
The appeals court have, and I read some of the appeals, and it, but the courts say no, it's good. So,
nice.
Of course,
it's because they were doing it the right way.
See.
Okay, and of course you can what? I cut you off.
I'm just saying. Of course, it could take longer than the 9 years. That's just average.
Sure.
There's people sitting. There's men and women. Women, it takes a lot longer.
Longer, yeah.
But there's men sitting on death row for 30 years. There's men that sit on death row for 5. So that's just an average wait in Texas, which isn't long. 9 years.
I mean, I guess relatively speaking, it's not long, but. If you think that's like a slam dunk.
But if you knew you were dying in 9 years, approximately 9 years, that's still, you'd be like, oh, freak out, I think.
I don't know. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of weird trauma and living in jail and all that. That's all.
Yeah. Death row is a different.
Really kills your psyche anyway.
Yeah. Death row is a different creature. You're basically in solitary.
Like
alone, but you're in your own cell. You don't get to go to population, but you do get visitors. So. That's Eric will sit there and tell his execution.
Wow. All right. That was a good one.
I just wanted to do that for a long time. And
okay.
When you hear these stories, you get, or I do, I don't know about anybody else, but I do get very obsessed with some of them. And this is one of them.
Yeah.
I've read books on it. I've watched documentaries.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think everybody does. That's why there are like 20 different documentaries about Ted Bundy and books and books and books and profilers talking about it. And I think we all are just like, how do you do this to other people? Like, what makes somebody do this?
And especially in this case, you have Eric, who was in the right side of the system.
Yeah.
I think.
But clearly broken.
Yeah, and even so, even most people, I did something wrong. I got caught. I'll move on, get a job, whatever.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that. No. He set out, and that Kim's kick-ass list, that was his hit list.
Yeah.
There was others on that hit list, including the DA that took over. Early was her name. Anyway, she's still DA over there.
Okay.
Toby and Bill were on the list. The judges were on the list. So, there was a list. Who's next? And if it had been continuing.
Well, thank goodness that guy came forward and said, hey, I got a storage unit for him.
He came forward earlier.
Well, it is unfortunate that wasn't followed up on faster.
Because they could have gotten him for the weapons and kept him in jail. And I don't think the McClellans would have been killed.
Well, no. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I see what you mean now.
Yeah. That was an interesting part. But you know what? It happens all the time. Hindsight's 20/20. You could sit there and you can blame the sheriff's office. It's not their fault.
Well, and we don't know what else they were following up at that point.
Exactly.
Maybe that felt so far removed from reality.
Right.
So.
And it's not the sheriff's fault at all.
Right.
It's Eric's. 100%.
Oh, 100%.
The sheriff's office was busy trying to follow up on all leads, and there's only so many people that can work, and then there's only, and if you have, let's say, 50 leads and you have 10 investigators working on it, you can't get to them all right away.
Right.
So
yeah.
And with Mark's, and I do want to point out when Mark Hassey was killed, Mike specifically said, Eric Williams did this.
Yeah, that was it. Like, I remember when we were doing the first 2 episodes, we were just like, yep, that guy's mad. And he knew that he was insane enough to obsess over it. And instead of being like, yep, my bad, I stole all the computers. It's your fault.
Mark did too. Mark
knew it was
Cassie knew too. And that's why, and he carried it. Just like, but he didn't have time to get his.
No time. I remember we talked about that.
So.
All right.
Just because you carry a gun doesn't mean you're not going to get murdered.
I mean, it does not. Right. Okay. Well, thank you. That was a good one.
So
that was a good share.
Please go listen to the whole series, 4-part series.
4 parts. Kaufman County murders.
Please go follow us. Go listen to our other episodes. Give us 5 stars. Y'all, we got to get this.
Call the Crime Stoppers.
Yes. Let's solve some. Next week, we're going to talk about a case that's not out of Texas.
Okay.
It's out of Louisiana, but it's close enough. So
that's close enough. And we do have Texas coming up, a little in my wheelhouse. realtors in light of we recently lost a real estate agent in Canada who was.
Oh, did we? Oh
we
my
did.
gosh, I did not hear about this.
She was found.
I'm not gonna go look it up.
That one you can look up because that one they found and they know pretty much who did it.
But I was gonna play your role.
Yeah, so the other one, the Texas real estate agents, you're not allowed to look up. Canada, if you want to look up Canada, you can look.
Oh, you're not going to do the Canada one?
It's not a cold case.
So this isn't either.
And it just happened. So we'll see. Anyway,
we'll see later.
Listen in if you know any tips, Crime Stoppers, Texas Rangers, cold case site. Shoot, send us a message. Send Rogue Media a message.
Yeah,
we're here for it all.
And please follow us on all the social media lovelies. Silent Witness TX.
Yes.
TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Please go follow us. Please share.
Yeah, share these stories.
Give us 5 stars. Don't give us 1. I need to go bribe my students to give us 5 stars.
I don't care. Give us anything. We just want, connection. Thank you so much for listening. That is Silent Witness.
Bye.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production. Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.